Let's talk about how to hear and understand your spirit guides.
I want to ask you a question. Do you think that your spirit guide is a literal spirit person? Is it your inner wisdom? Is it your subconscious mind? Maybe your super conscious mind? Is it your higher self?
Is it a totally separate being, like God, goddess, archangels? Is it grandma or your aunt that passed away, or an angel, or possibly all of the above?
Who do you think your spirit guide or inner wisdom is? What is that voice that is speaking to you and guiding you?
Before we get started, let us know if you're excited for this one by dropping a hashtag excited in the comments.
And for those of you who are just getting to know us,
I'm Heather.
And I'm David.
I'm
.com, home of our Intuitive Awakening community and Zen Ed Academy. Now, let's make a deal. If, and only if, we bring you massive value today, would you be open to hearing about an offer at the end that will blow your mind? I think that's fair, right? So, besides, at any point, if for whatever reason you believe that we're wasting your time, all you gotta do is just turn it off, go about your day. If that sounds like a deal, let's get started.
Let us know in the comments what you believe as far as what your spirit guide is and what is your inner wisdom. And I think that may or may not be as important to know as you might think.
We are going to explore some things around that, but I think here's the thing. We really get hung up on the messenger instead of the process and the feeling of the message.
And we can actually, in that process of trying to find out who it is, sabotage the message process itself. Think about that. So before we get into mediumship work, like what spirit am I talking to? Are they bad? Are they great? We need to figure out how we're listening.
Yeah, because I kind of think it just depends. Right now, we're talking about being a better receiver, because I think that's where we screw up, because we get messages from all over the place, from inside of our mind, from our own panic, from grandma trying to speak to us from the other side, from our angels, or whatever it is, right? And if our radio station has an old broke down antenna with so much static on the line, there's not much you can do. It doesn't matter who is speaking to us. The message isn't going to get through in the right way.
Say you've got a radio that has a bunch of radio stations that all have great music and they're playing songs you really love. The key component is the message or the songs that you love on all these different stations. To hear better, you get a better radio, better speakers, then you get better quality.
Let's say that all the stations that you're listening to are different angels and grandmas, inner wisdom. All these stations are playing a song about love. And they're all songs, and they're all good, and we have a really crappy radio in our car. We can't really pick up on any of them. So what do? You get better speakers. You clean up the sound, you improve, you eliminate that static. And when we receive the message, we hear it so much better.
So after a while, you might not even need a radio. You just feel inspired on your own, kind of directly connect. You might make up or channel a song about love that is totally inspired and kind of cut out the middleman, or so you think. Because sometimes we slow ourselves down with the trivia and the details.
So now, a question. Do I need a spirit guide to talk to my grandma who passed away?
No, just directly connect. Just think about her and tune in. Sometimes that seems like a big leap in our mind, so we want an intermediary. But sometimes we get caught up on the details and it just, like I said, slows us down.
And here's the thing. When it comes to a family member, especially somebody that you're already close to in spirit, you've already got a direct connection with them. You already know what they're like. You already know what their energy is like, their soul, their spirit, whatever you want to call it. You already know that energy. So it's easier for you to tap into that particular radio station. You've already got it on a preset. You just punch it in. So you just connect directly because you and your grandma have a relationship already, and she didn't need a secretary in real life. You just call her on the phone, right? You can just tune into her. You don't need an intermediary. She doesn't need a personal assistant for you to contact her.
So it really is about improving yourself as a receiver. So we're going to break down this really simply into 2 clear guidelines and make it super simple. And then we're going to give you 11 rapid fire badass tips for trusting and improving your receiver, for trusting your own intuition. In other words, improving yourself as the receiver, right?
So the inner voice is known by many names, and for our purposes, it doesn't matter which name you choose. As you progress on your spiritual path, you might call it different things. You might call it God, Goddess, Holy Spirit, your conscious, Jiminy Cricket, your spirit guide, your soup conscious, your super conscious, your subconscious, your soup conscious, your soup kitchen. It doesn't matter what you call it.
And I want to tell you something really important. This applies if you believe in an afterlife or don't believe in an afterlife, or if you're an atheist or you believe in God. I think it all applies because we all need inner guidance. So if you don't believe in an afterlife, you still need some inner guidance in this life. Then you might just be calling it your superconscious or your subconscious mind. All of these guidelines we're going to give you apply regardless of the name you choose. Yes, whatever you call the thing, it doesn't matter. The thing works the same.
Boom. So let's get into listening before we get to the tips. We often ask for guidance, right? But we forget to listen afterwards, or we just don't know how to listen. So this is a 2-part process in traditional prayer and meditation, because prayer is a meditation is a form of prayer, right? In the West, we kind of just ask, and then we don't really listen. Where in the East, there may be more emphasis on the listening, the meditation part where you're receiving. So we've been trained to pray and to petition, to put it out there.
Prayer is kind of the asking.
Right. But we've kind of sort of been trained out of listening.
Which is the meditation, the receiving. We can call this process prayer and meditation, or if you prefer to be more new agey and shit, intention setting and allowance. The second part is what requires the art of listening. And listening definitely is an art, because you have to know how to use your ears, your instrument, your entire body almost, literally your mind and your spirit as that instrument, all of you, to tune it into listening, because the important part is not the asking, it is the listening. The asking is easy, right? The listening can be hard. The receiving of the answer, the direction, the guidance, the inspiration, the intuition. There we go.
In a nutshell, if you are not listening, it doesn't matter who is talking. So whatever name you call the thing is irrelevant if you're not listening to the thing. So here's the thing. We sometimes feel as though the more that we shout our questions to the void, whatever that void is, the better answers we're going to get somehow.
I met an Episcopalian priest one time who was addressed by one congregant who complained that they kept asking and asking and asking God and didn't get an answer, and they're in a panic. And he said, you know what? Stop nagging God. He's already heard you. He's already listening. He's like, ask once and then do your best after that to listen. If you keep nagging, you can't hear. He's like, don't nag God. You think he's got better things to do than pick up your 500 voice messages that all say the same thing? He heard you the first time. Just because you're shouting doesn't mean the question is going to get across any better.
Who's experienced this, where they're just like, I'm in a panic mode, so I want to ask more often. I want to make sure that the universe hears me. I want to maybe phrase it in a different way. Matter of fact, the more that you're talking, the less you're listening. So the more that you nag God, I'm going to use that analogy because it works for a metaphor, for that inner voice for a moment. You're nagging God so much that you can't think. So what happens is when you nag God, your logical mind might start to interrupt the process and start making up answers for you and creating scenarios and solutions to your problem that might not even be solutions, but maybe even more problems, and gets in a kind of a state of panic because you're in this panic loop and you're focused on the problem, so your subconscious mind is going to give you more problems, and then you're not in your listening mind. And then it's not even God or your inner wisdom, but your inner freakout feedback loop.
Or it starts creating more fears of I'm not ever going to get my answer. God's not listening to me. He's abandoned me. The universe doesn't give a fuck about me. So now you're shouting and you're asking and you're not listening, which brings you further out of your center of listening to your intuition. So you might not notice your answer when it comes.
So here are those 2 simple ways to hear your own inner voice, your guides, and recognize what is intuition and what is freakout. But first, I want to check in and make sure that this stuff is valuable for you. Are you all still with us? That's good, because we're excited to share that offer at the end, and we want it to be a fair exchange. You listen to the offer only if we provide value. That was the deal.
We'll get deeper into those 11 tips afterwards to help you fine-tune the process, because when we get hung up on the details, like we said, we miss the message.
First, we're going to talk about what that inner voice should feel like so that we can help you open up to trusting your own messages. And that's a dog. So that's what that is. So we love to help connect people to their truth, to their intuition. Maybe your intuition is like that. To clear their own static in their own minds so that they can connect directly. That's one of the things that we're doing here today.
So in a crisis, we can be suddenly shocked into aligning with the inner voice, and it can be a life-changing experience. But what should the inner voice really feel like in a crisis? Sometimes we tap into it spontaneously. And when this happens, it is a great opportunity to stabilize that experience while the channel is open and right there. But often people just go back to business as usual after a crisis event and lose that connection. So when you feel that connection, it's important to slow down and learn how to stabilize it.
So you should feel 2 things if it is your true guidance. This is very important. First, when you are experiencing true guidance, you're going to experience a sense of peace. And you just know that things are simply going to work out.
Second, you begin to feel empowered and know that you can and you will prevail in that moment. Yeah, it's like in the movies when something clicks in and you get that message and everything just clears up and time slows down. And you know what to do. It's not panic. There's no fear when the message is valid. You just feel at peace.
And that's that movie moment that Heather's talking about, where you experience that epiphanic moment of clarity where the sky opens up and everything is just like, I've got this. Yeah, so when you've got that moment where everything just kind of stops for a moment, pauses for a moment, and you're like, I've got this, that's the moment when you know you are fully connected to absolute truth, to your soul truth, to your guides, your guidance, to the universe, your intuition, whatever name you want to give to it. That's when you know you're connected. Static is gone. It's crisp. It's clear. Clarity.
And the answers from your inner guide do not need to come from a prophet or a burning bush to be validated. They can be present in every moment, from a billboard, a commercial on TV, or a random song on the radio. A few words from a person on a bus, something like that, life just becomes joyful.
And one thing before we go on, we have seen some get lost in an obsessive need to seek answers everywhere. And I mean, some get obsessed to the point where they can't wake up and leave the house without getting a message first. That sort of sign seeking might be coming from fear.
So when you're seeking obsessively, looking for signs on the daily about every move you should make, that's coming from fear. The messages you get back are probably not going to come from spirit. They're probably going to come from your panicked, logical mind trying to get a solution.
Or trying to warn you about all of the dangers of the universe in one moment. And every single moment of your entire life, that's a bad sign, right? That's coming from fear. So that's a really easy way to distinguish between its fear or truth, whether it is fear or whether it is truth. right? And I see this often with people who overuse their pendulums, for example. For instance, they'll just use the pendulum in the supermarket. Which shampoo is going to be better for me? Tell me, O wise pendulum of penduli. You know what's better for my hair. Just pick the one you like, right? You might be trying to get an answer from outside of yourself and not make a mistake because heaven forbid you choose the wrong shampoo. That's where I think we slip out of alignment with that inner guidance. That's the true guidance. And we get into fear and we start making decisions from fear.
We'll talk about the two voices here in just a moment, but just a side note. Meditation and hypnosis can help you connect to self and that sense of peace. Hypnosis or guided meditation can be a great way for you to kind of connect to the truth inside of you, bypass that fear center, and get into a peaceful, calm, connected, truthful state until you can do it on your own.
Especially when it's done with somebody who really knows what they're doing or specializes in spiritual types of hypnosis. The guided meditations that we do include a lot of techniques from hypnosis. You're already in a hypnotic state when you're doing any kind of guided meditation. When you're going through those particular guided meditations, it is a very similar state to hypnosis, and that's the state you should feel. Calm, centered, peaceful, right?
A question we get all the time is, how do I contact my inner guide? Let's say you know your guide's name is Rose, but you don't know anything beyond that. You've already contacted them and they've already contacted you. Whether that's your inner wisdom or your spirit guide out there. Like I said, it doesn't matter. It's how you receive it.
Now, before we continue, I want to remind you that we've got a super special offer at the end that will blow your freaking mind because we're kind of cool that way, but you have to stay to the end to take advantage of it. I guarantee that it will be worth the wait. I mean, this stuff is gold already, but what's coming up is platinum and glitter with a sprinkle of fairy dust.
So, moving on with the gold. How do I contact my inner guide? The question you should ask instead is, how do I listen to my inner guide? Because it is not how do I contact them or are they trying to contact me, but how do I listen to my inner guide? Because it is always there. The guidance is happening all the time. The contact part is easy.
And another element is the name. Don't get caught up in the name, okay? Just pick a name. You can always change it later, or your guide can change it later. It doesn't matter. The contact is probably already established before you're even consciously searching for that contact. It's already there. The line is already there. The radio stations are already pumping out music. Oonch, oonch, oonch. You just have to learn how to turn on your radio, tune into the station, and then go buy some better speakers and throw out those old janky speakers you got.
So there are two voices we listen to. I want you to start here and then go forward listening to your own messages. So we want to invite you to open up and tap in. There are two voices. The first voice is stimulated by fight or flight.
And just imagine for a moment what that fight or flight voice might feel like. What might it sound like? What kind of messages would that fight or flight voice be delivering to you? And it's prompting you to do something now, sometimes overriding the quieter, more calm, more still voice inside of you. But if you're tuned into the radio, you can get a now message, but you're in a calm state. So that's the difference between the fight or flight voice and that truth, that sense of calm. So often, that first voice is speaking and motivated by an underlying emotion of fear.
And that feeling itself is fantastic. It's okay. It is letting you know your primal mind is working as designed, although it should only play as a first response if you're in immediate danger of being eaten by a jaguar. So side note, as we get to the second voice, if you are in immediate danger of the jaguar, whatever that jaguar is, and your station is clear, you might not even get that fight or flight response. You might actually go, oh, there's a jaguar. Let me get myself out of here. And you can handle it in a really calm way.
So while the message might be now, but might not be from that fight or flight state, right? So that's the first voice that most of the time is going to be wrong. And like I said, unless there's an immediate threat, and even then, if it comes in with a sense of clarity, peace, And we've heard a whole bunch of stories, and I'm sure you guys have heard stories too, about near-death experiences or moments when somebody could have died, but they snapped into clarity and calm and saved the day.
They put their seatbelt on the moment before, or they turned a different way down a particular street but didn't have a sense of panic about it. They're just like, okay, this is what I'm doing right now. Most people should drive with their seatbelts on, by the way. I'm not saying you should, But yeah, that sense of calm comes with a genuine message. So for me, I'm kind of a person that will cruise pretty calmly through a crisis, but afterwards is when I get the adrenaline rush. Like, yeah, that just happened.
So the second voice, as you probably have gotten an idea of so far, we've been talking about it a little bit, the second voice is calm, it's still, it's peaceful. This is your true inner guidance, regardless of who is on the other line. And you know that you can trust that voice, whether it's your inner wisdom, your subconscious grandma, whatever it is peaceful and calm. And it also tells you and brings with it that feeling that you don't have to panic. You don't have to worry.
Just soak in the beauty of the moment and enjoy watching the jaguars on the Wildlife Channel from the safety of your living room, because the jaguars aren't really real. They aren't really going to kill you, right? So you want to stay in that calmness unless you're out in South America where they might actually eat you.
Yeah, so pay attention to these two voices and how the information comes in. Go with a sense of knowing. Go with a first impulse and let it come from that state of peace.
Students commonly don't feel confident knowing if it is their guide or not. This is where these guidelines become most important. Are you feeling fear around it? Are you feeling calm and peace around it? That's it. That's how you know. If you get nothing else from these tips we're going to get, remember those two things.
Do not get caught up in, is it my guide? Is it not? Can my animal guide speak to me? Can they not? It doesn't matter the guide, because we're again getting caught up in the messenger instead of the message and how it's delivered, how we feel that message and how the message comes through. Because that's one of the most important parts, is how it comes through. Is it calm? Is it relaxed? Is it peaceful? Is it fearful? Does it have that urgency, that oh shit? Is it really freaking you out right now, man?
Okay, like we said, we want to clear up some things I see our clients getting caught up on, consistently getting caught up on the details of what it is. We want to know those details so bad, but then we get ourselves in a frenzy and we miss the message and we miss what it is we should do.
So now we have 11 tips for trusting your intuition. Every one of these is gold. Do not skip them, because some of them seem really simple, but they're all very important.
Tip number 1 is stillness. Be still, open, and receptive. If at first you don't receive, you might start to panic, right? If at first you don't receive, relax and allow it to enter instead of chasing it around in a frenzy trying to find it. That is our first natural impulse, looking for that message, and know it's coming from somewhere.
So you're looking everywhere, but from a state of fear and panic. Chill, relax. Because force creates resistance. Anytime you try to push or pressure something, it's going to fight back. It's going to close down. So it closes down that conduit of information so you can't really hear it, and you end up start making stuff up in the background. Even if you're getting messages that are coming from fear, you're not going to get the right messages at the right time.
So number 2 is detachment. Do not be attached to the answer or the outcome. A lot of times, whether we like it or not, we have a preconceived idea of what the answer should be. You gotta have faith. Oh no, that's not right. That's not the answer. You gotta have faith that you are always receiving what you need. Attempting to strong arm your inner voice and give you the right answer you want only causes that inner voice to shut off and your fight or flight voice to step in. So do not strong arm your inner voice.
It is very common to get attached to the outcome, especially if you're coming from an emotional place. Then what do? We blame our guides. Then we go back to, is it my guide? Is it not my guide? Is it a bad guide?
How did you receive the message in the first place? Were you calm and peaceful when you first received it? So you might get the answer, and at first it feels good, and you try it, but it doesn't fit perfectly. That's okay. Just have faith. Go with it because you are trying. It's going to change and shift into the right thing eventually if you keep trying.
The important part is, did you feel calm and peaceful when you first received it? And it might be a piece that says, are you ready? It might just be a little test to say, are you ready for the actual answer? I'm gonna give you this little nugget and see if you're ready.
And if you take this in a state of peace and calm and of trust and faith, then you're gonna get more good stuff. If you start going into a panic, oh no, that's not it, well then those messages are gonna close down. And that's where you can really kind of freak yourself out and trip your brain up and get into that kind of psychotic behavior almost, where you're like, oh, I don't know who to listen to, and you get kind of crazy.
Tip number 3 is assurance. Listen with assurance. Be assured that the universe is working for you. See the blessing. The blessing. See the blessing. See the lesson. That's a blessing.
Lesson.
It's a blessing. It's a blessing and a lesson. Lesson and lesson. Yep, there you go. And seek to know your part within that answer, within that guidance. Don't whine and ask for the situation to change without first asking whether or not you've learned what you've needed from the situation or the answer or whatever it is. And more important, listening.
It can be tricky because messages from spirit, messages from our subconscious can be super subjective, and we can alter it by our emotional state, by our mental state, and a lot of other factors. So coming back always to that number 1, which is calm, still, and peaceful, and listening and open is the best place to be. Because if you're asking for a situation to change, but you haven't learned the lesson is going to continue showing up in different ways.
All those blessings. So number 4 is trust. Know that your answers can and do come from everywhere and everyone, even your frenemies. And when you ask, you will receive. Truth can come from anywhere and everywhere, and sometimes it doesn't seem to fit into our accepted belief system. Okay, so out of the mouth of babes comes truth because their channels are clear. They're not worried about saying the wrong thing or doing the wrong thing or whether or not the information is real or if it's fake or whatever. They just let it flow. So be in that state, let it flow.
The more you let it flow, the more you will see. And if you've got your eyes set on seeing the growth, seeing the opportunity, the lesson, and the positive from any experience, I don't care how difficult the experience is, if you keep looking for the positive, you will find it.
Boom. Number 5 is assessment. If you feel yourself resisting and rejecting ideas or peaceful thoughts just because they're unfamiliar, stop and reassess. Maybe the idea is valid, but you might be resisting it because of some unknown fear. Stop and reassess.
There are multitudinous ways we can trip ourselves up when receiving guidance. We feel like our life is really shitty, our guides are not speaking to us, my guides aren't listening, I'm asking, I'm in pain, I'm suffering, and we let that cloud up our eyes, and there is so much static that we can't hear.
It's continually having faith and coming back to that peace and calm for yourself. Because the answer might be there, you're just not hearing it. You're not feeling it because you're panicking in fear. And when you're in that state of fight or flight, when you're in that state of pain and suffering, you're going to call more pain and suffering to you because that's what you're focused on.
When you start looking for the blessing, no matter how difficult, start looking for the blessing in the situation. No matter how jacked up the situation may seem, you will start to find your way out. Especially if it feels like you're in a complete state of darkness. You can find your way out if you're looking for the light. If you're not looking for the light, you're going to remain in that darkness, in that circle of holy shit, and never get out of it.
And like we said, this one is tricky because everybody's situation is different and everybody feels their life differently. There are general guidelines, and hopefully one or more of them will resonate with you, and you'll be able to tune into a message, some piece of message for you, some piece of truth, whatever it is that you need for your particular life.
Number 6 is patience, and this tests all of us. I don't care who you are, being patient and willing to accept the answer is coming in the best time frame for you can be the hardest thing to do.
We get caught up in the question of how long is it going to take? When am I going to be out of this painful situation? The time frame is right for you. trust that along that time frame, you might have lessons to learn that aren't necessarily in your conscious awareness.
Yeah, I know. I've gone through this. I suffered from it during a health issue where I was told my situation was incurable. But when I went through it, I knew I've got lessons to learn while I'm in this. I had a lot of fear, like I'm never going to be cured from this thing, but I kept going back, and it took a lot of willpower to keep going back to that peacefulness, keep going back to that patience. The time is right. It's not my timing. I want it done now, right? But the timing in the end was perfect, because if I had not had every single lesson along the way, I wouldn't be who I am right now, right? So the time frame is right for you.
Divine timing, right? And that time frame is coming from your higher wisdom, your inner wisdom that knows the bigger picture that you can't see when you're in that darkness. It's not the time frame that you might think is logically right. The wheels are already underway for your highest good. Go back to that thought. Even though it might not sound, or it might sound like really fruity and a really fruity thing to say, but it's kind of true. Allow the answer to come when it's ready. Don't force. Divine timing.
Yeah. Now we get into number 7, which is releasing judgment. Don't judge the messenger or the way it was delivered. So just because a 5-year-old doesn't have a doctorate in theology doesn't mean she can't give you a divinely inspired message. So I hear children say brilliant, profound things all the time. So release judgment about the message and the messenger.
With all these tips, we all have challenges surrounding all of them, but that's part of being human, to learn to listen better, okay? That's really the exercise, is learning to listen better. That's how you're going to strengthen your intuition. And I want to talk about judgment for a moment, because when we're in a situation that seems hopeless, we continue to create that storyline in our mind that it's hopeless. And what we're actually doing is we're perpetuating the cycle of pain because we choose not to see the light in the situation.
Have faith that somewhere, might be a long time from now, who knows how long it's going to be, but have faith that somewhere there will be an out for you. There will be a way for you to release and relieve your pain. If you do not believe that, you will continue to create pain in your life, no matter how much good there is for you. We know you guys have burdens that are really hard, but all of these tips about clearing the static on your line to be a better listener will help you stay aligned with peace.
And number 8 is release fear. And I know it takes a lot of work to face fears and to overcome them, to stabilize that state of peace so that we can proceed without fear and with assurance that all is going to be well, and we keep coming back to that and going forward without the fear of doing it wrong or making mistakes or getting in more pain or more suffering or more hurt or whatever. Then you know that even your mistakes are going to turn out to be the right choice in the end. You're going to grow. You're going to learn. You just keep going. So be at peace as you move forward. A lot of this is about being at peace.
Yeah. Then we get into number 9. Be spontaneous. Many times with our messages, we get really rigid. I have to do it this way. But the future is like a river that continues to flow and change, and circumstances can change as well. And there's free will at play everywhere, which is why it's so hard to nail down life with a really rigid mindset. Allow for surprises and unexpected creative elements to kind of spontaneously erupt. Be inspired in ways you didn't expect. Release expectations of how you think things should go.
It's like a volcano of positivity, right? It's just erupting all over when you can train yourself to do that. And then we get to number 10, and this is to take action. Guidance means nothing if you don't take action. Guidance requires action in order for guidance to be validated. So if you don't do anything with your information, it never comes to life. Without action, our faith, without the work, it becomes impotent or dead, and we tend to not get any more messages.
There's a concept of grace. I talk about it a lot, and it sounds very religious, but it's common to every spiritual system on the planet. Grace is the concept where you hear a lot of people saying, I'm saved by grace, saved by grace. And we don't really understand the concept really all the time. And I think And then we think that's all there is to it, is just we're saved by grace. And then we get mad when nothing happens. But here is how it really works. You do the very best you can with what you have. And that best might be 10% of what is really needed, but you're doing your best. Let's say you are in chronic pain. Your life is really sucking right now. Whatever that is, it's happening to you. You've only got 10%, but you can do your best with that. That 10% of what is required might be 100% of what you can do right now.
So you offer that 10% to the universe. You ask for guidance, and the universe, God, source, energy, whatever you want to call it, is going to fill in that 90% for you. If you can do your best at 10%, the universe is going to fill it in. If you give 100% of what you've got. And that might only be 10%, right? 10% of other people's normal. So that's where faith and work and grace, all of that alchemy happens. Faith plus work is grace.
And that's grace. It's not a get out of jail free card that you do nothing for. You do the best you can. You do as much as you can. You can have faith. You have faith that the universe has got your back, and you move forward in the best possible way for you. And grace has the best interest and dividends on the planet because it's a big percentage, right? I don't know what, but infinite percentage.
Infinite plus. So on to number 11, right? CTFO. And this is the most important one to have. Peace that you are guided and you're going to be where you need to be and have what you need in any given moment, right? So CTFO, chill the funk out. You don't have to be the best, just do your best.
I want to address pain, mental, emotional, or physical. This is a very difficult thing to deal with, but I want you to realize how powerful you are in this situation. You are the most powerful being in the universe. So keep in mind, it's tough. The chaos and confusion that comes from that is tough. We have worked with a lot of clients in that space. We work with it, and it is difficult to continue to come back to that place of peace. And we're not trying to dismiss that at all, not trying to dismiss or neglect or downplay any of the pain you're going through, because it's a very real thing for you.
So there are ways to move through it with more peace, but it does require that 10% from you, which is your 100%, which may be just have faith that you'll have some way to make your journey easier, and possibly even faith that things can come your way to help you enjoy life a bit more along the way. But first, give that 10% that you can do, whatever your 100% is.
Your reaction to any situation is a key component. It is the most important piece. And if you're ready to hear it now, fantastic. And if you're not ready to hear it now, I do hope that someday you will be ready to hear how powerful you are. But you know it's really okay to be pissed off. I know it might feel that things are going to shit, and I've been there. I've been in a situation where I didn't know when I was going to get out of a health situation at all, if at all. For 2 years, it was rough. It's no joke. So it's no joke for you, because it's very difficult to tune into spirit, into guidance, into peace and calm when you're feeling terrible, right?
But you gotta make small adjustments over time to get where you want. You've gotta aim your car in the direction that you want to be headed. So for those in chaos and confusion, we understand that it's a really big challenge because your pain is present. Whatever that pain is for you is present. It's always yelling at you. So we both have mad respect for everyone that suffers from feeling lost in the middle of the big expanse of life that you've got to do something with. And hopefully something meaningful eventually, right, when you get there. But we do have faith that you will find the way out when you are ready.
So there you go. This has been huge for many of our clients. The struggle with how do I get to that place of peace and listen to what the universe, God, source wants from me. And are they even listening? Are they even there trying to help me? I feel that goes for so many, and we've gone through it ourselves. We hope you take these simple guidelines to heart and make them work. They do work, but you have to put in the work initially to create new habits.
So how was that for you? Did we deliver something valuable? Let us know in the comments with #valuable.
Now it's time for your end of the deal. All you have to do is listen to our offer, even if you don't take us up on it.
If you're tired of feeling lost and confused with your intuition, spinning in circles, trying to make sense out of life, if you've tried other things like talk therapy, Reiki, or any other healing, and you're ready for something more, we've got something special for you.
If you're feeling lost, confused, overwhelmed, searching for purpose and passion, ready to live your best life, pay attention.
We spend a lot of our lives worried, stressed, freaking out, and feeling overwhelmed.
Wouldn't it be nice to think more clearly, respond more calmly, and finally feel like you're living your best life?
Wouldn't you like to become your own hero?
I'm Heather.
And I'm David.
And we can tell you about the thousands of people we've helped,
or the hundreds of personal development videos that we've created.
but we want to get a little vulnerable today.
We feel your pain.
We've been through that roller coaster of freakouts.
We've felt overwhelmed, lost, and confused.
But in life, there comes a moment of choice.
The moment when you could keep doing the same shit you've been doing, but you know where that road leads. You've been down that road before.
It's not easy.
Matter of fact, it's dark in that fucking cave. For us, there were lots of triggers, tears, and deep, ugly cries. Sound familiar?
When those moments happen, the first impulse is to shut down, stop, and pull back.
Then, one day, something clicked for us. What if we let go? What if we went deeper?
So, long story short, we did.
We went against the natural instinct of self-preservation.
What happened next blew our minds. We dug deep.
We went into the emotions, like really deep into them, deep into that cave until we faced our own shit.
And we found peace.
The beautiful thing about that journey is when you get through that dark ass cave and come out the other side into the light,
The natural byproduct of working on your shit is you want to share and help other people.
since 2008, using our methods and systems, thousands of our clients have broken through lifelong traumas and emotional issues, sometimes in minutes instead of years or decades.
Tons of stress, anxiety, and fear gone.
Thinking back on our journey after the success we saw with our clients,
We realized it would have been so easy to have someone come in and fix it for us.
we were looking for a hero to rescue us.
Until we realized the real way and the only way to live your best life is to rescue yourself. Become your own hero.
And that's exactly what we did.
That's why we came up with the hero method.
The hero method is a unique, effective way to calm the freak out and get back to chill out faster, more often, and stay there longer.
Our animal mind is trying to protect us and keep us safe from all the threats of the world, like work, money, relationships, family.
So many things going on, that animal doesn't know what to do. So we end up overwhelmed and burnt out.
What if you could calm the freak out and magnify the chill out? What would that look like for you? What would that do for you?
Imagine optimizing your emotional responses so you spend less time in freak out and more time in chill out.
Feeling more calm, peaceful, and relaxed more often for longer periods of time, so you can handle things in life more efficiently without that animal inside always biting people's heads off.
Imagine for a moment feeling absolutely chill in a crowd of thousands of people, observing and soaking it all in.
Instead of looking for the nearest closet to hide out in.
Imagine staying fully connected to your problem-solving brain.
Instead of shutting down and crying in a corner because you got too much on your plate.
Nobody puts baby in a corner. Human emotional response optimization helps you have more chill out and less freak out.
To help you find your power of optimized emotional responses.
We created the Emotional Powerhouse Strategy,
which consists of 3 important pieces.
First, supportive community.
You need to know you are safe and accepted.
The Zen Head community has one purpose: to provide a safe space where you feel accepted, supported, and guided.
You ask questions, share experiences, and get guidance, no matter where you are right now or where you want to go.
Second, we have quality education.
Now that you feel safe, it's time to build your foundation because education alleviates the fear of the unknown.
The Zen Ed library is jam-packed with over 31 PhD-backed courses with all the tools and techniques that have helped thousands of our clients go beyond coping into actual healing, development, and growth.
Third, we have peer practice.
The Zen Head practices are designed to develop your skills and get instant feedback when you're on track and gentle guidance when you're off track.
You get to work with like-minded people and know right away how to distinguish between your intuition and your emotions.
Discover your natural abilities and find out that what you thought was normal is actually a superpower.
You get instant feedback so you know when your intuition is on point and when your old emotions get in the way.
Then you're guided back to the best course and the best tools to help you.
We want you to take advantage of all this and put it into action so you can live and build your best life.
That's why we put it all together into Zen Ed Academy.
Zen Ed Academy is our ongoing program to bring all of these pieces together so you can grow faster with support and shift your life from freakout to powerhouse.
So it's time to stop the freakout and stand in your power.
Imagine experiencing the results of decades of therapy in as little as an hour.
Imagine feeling safe in your own skin, discovering who you are at your core, and learning how to play again.
Go to zenedacademy.com to learn more.
With Zen Ed Academy, you get all of
The
this.
supportive community, the quality education, and the peer practice.
And when you join Zen Ed Academy today, you also get 2 special bonuses to get you up and running as quickly as possible.
You get a free clarity call and personalized lesson plan.
On the call, we'll talk about your journey, ask questions, and dial in your lesson plan.
Then we develop your personalized lesson plan with the first 3 courses you should take.
That way, you get the most out of the program right away.
Zen Ed Academy is only for committed and serious self-growth Zen heads. We want people ready to dive in and do the work.
If this is just one more thing that you are trying, please don't join.
Let a real Zen head take the spot instead.
They would appreciate it, and so would we.
If you're a dabbler or bypasser,
What we call a pretend Zen,
someone who's not fully committed to this wonderful lifestyle of deep transformation and personal growth,
then Zen Ed Academy is not for you.
what about price?
The courses alone are worth over $50,000. And that's what the public pays if they just go to the website and buy the courses separately.
Because you're here, you're not going to pay anything close to that.
It's easily worth over $12,000, which is the public price per year,
It would be a steal at $1,000.
which is the public price per month.
Is it worth it?
Would you pay $1,000 to be completely free from stress, anxiety, and freak out?
If you knew it worked, absolutely.
Would you pay $1,000 to know which emotions were yours and which ones weren't?
Most definitely.
If you could crush old codependent patterns, find your confidence, stand your ground, and never settle for bullshit anymore? Without a doubt.
So what does it cost?
Because you're here, right now and you have watched this far, you're not going to pay $50,000, not even $12,000. You're not even going to pay $1,000.
When you join Zen Ed Academy today, you get the supportive community, quality education, and peer practice, and the bonuses. Most importantly, the peace and the freedom.
For as little as $399. That's over 60% off of our public price, which can save you up to $9,000. And you can get started today for as little as $399.
You are worth the investment.
And that's less than one Big Mac a day from McDonald's.
And honestly, did you even want that burger?
You might be looking for the catch. And here it is.
We're almost done building our foundation and we're getting ready to scale.
Which means we're going to raise our prices.
We only have 50 spots available at this price.
Now we're going to make this a complete no-brainer for you.
You don't have to risk anything.
You don't even have to say yes today. All you have to say is maybe.
When you join today, your entire investment is 100% satisfaction guaranteed.
With our unconditional 30-day automatic money-back policy.
You are either absolutely thrilled with how much peace and calm this brings to your life,
or you simply cancel using an easy-to-find link on the website and you will automatically get your money back.
Cancel after 30 days and you will never be billed again.
You are guaranteed to experience a life change within 30 days, or you get all your money back automatically.
Go ahead and click the Join Now button.
Join Zen Ed Academy right now.
There's no need for you to continue feeling lost, confused, and overwhelmed.
There's no need for you to continue spinning your wheels, trying to find something that makes sense only to be disappointed and let down again.
You don't have to continue feeling constantly overwhelmed, drained, and worn out by other people's emotions and energy.
You don't have to continue living your life on that emotional roller coaster with your emotions thrown all over the place depending on who you're around.
You can change all of that when you join Zen Ed Academy today. You will feel solid and confident in your own emotional center.
You will know what is yours and what is not, and be able to walk through crowds of thousands without ever feeling overwhelmed again.
You will absolutely trust your instincts and intuition without waffling back and forth.
You will crush self-doubts once and for all.
Go ahead, click the Join Now button and join Zen Ed Academy right now. Here's why you should do it now.
We're only opening 50 spots at this price point. If you wait, people who are ready, willing, and able will beat you to it and snag those spots.
That's why you should join today.
Sure, you could put this off, but you've been down that road before. More mental and emotional overwhelm.
Less peace, less confidence.
10 more years of talk therapy. If you want it, now is the time to act.
The only thing left for you to decide is if you want to stay where you are or if you are ready to join Zen Ed Academy and finally come home. We will leave the light on for you.
Go ahead. It's time to click the button. We'll see you inside.